Don't mute yourself.
Now I have to do this interview again.
Yeah, oh god, that would be a nightmare.
Just do the audio, as best we can, and like slightly off, like a Japanese anime translated into English.
That's right, yeah, exactly. It's so annoying to watch. Yeah, I don't think that's going to help this podcast if we... Yeah, well, I've got plenty, so don't worry. All right, I am here at Kokinaki Pickleball Courts with Connor. Connor, what is the dark side of pickleball for you?
I guess the dark side of pickleball for me is, as someone who looks at pickleball as a way to socialize, I really enjoy the drop-in play, the friends I'm here tonight with, that, I've gone now to play volleyball and dinner and hang out with, is when it becomes from a social thing to an overly competitive thing for a recreational game, right? Like, don't get me wrong, like, everyone's competitive, everyone has a fighting spirit, they want to win, and everyone has the right to want to win, but when it becomes a problem with, I don't know, even just engaging with someone to where, you leave the court mad, not because you lost, but because the way the interaction went, or, when you're playing with a partner who's newer, and you got two people you're playing against and they're both good and they just don't even drop their play a little bit. Not for me, but for, the person they're playing with, or even if I am playing with, as a probably 3-0 player, if someone plays at a just 4-0 level and just kicks my ass and doesn't even make it a game and is unapologetic about that, or even just like, we'll deal with it, for me, that's the dark side of pickleball, because this is a game that we all come out here to play, again, for fun, right? It's not something we're most of us are going to go pro in. The majority of the people I play in are not going to be in a tournament on TV. I mean, how many tournaments are on TV anyway right now? And all the tennis players are going to come in and take all the spots anyway. So, it's about having fun. So at the end of the day, like, you can be competitive, but when it becomes a part where you're being rude to people or hurtful people or even just being a dick, like, that to me is the dark side of pickleball. Like, I want to be around people who, when I lose or they lose, we're encouraging each other. We build each other up. It's a game. We're here to get better. We're here to compete, but it's a game of it's called pickleball. It's the most ridiculous sounding name ever. I love pickleball, but it's the most ridiculous name ever. So, like, we're playing pickleball. Like, chill out, people.
Yeah, I wonder how like Ben Johns feels when he loses. Like, that's I don't know. What do you think he feels being literally the number one player in the world right now?
So for me, that's a little bit of a different thing. Just like playing. I don't know. I'm 28 years old. Like, when I go home, we still play Foursquare. You know what I mean? Like, we play these games like. It's rec games, so for someone like Ben Johns, you have money on the line, you're at the top level, so I can see, like, someone who gets competitive and angry at that level. I mean, you are competing to be number one in the world. For me, it's more of the players who are, not to bring it back off Big Johns, but, if you're not at that level, like, I think if you're at that level, you have a justification to be a little bit angry or frustrated or maybe a little bit more competitive, right? You got money on the line, their status on the line, if you're playing at a tournament for PPA, MLP, all these leagues that we have right now, like, that's fair to be, I think, a little bit more on that competitive, aggressive, like, tough side. Like, I think you look at, Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, they're all that level of competitiveness, like, I don't necessarily know if I'd want to be their friends, they're great competitors, the GOATs, right? But you look at, like, their friendships and their tracks and, like, Pippen and Jordan, like, all those guys, again, they don't get along. So I don't know. Ben John seems like a nice guy. I don't think he's like that. But, like, if there's a competitor at that top level, I think you got to be that level of a competitor and aggressive to get to that level on, for certain people. Some people are at that level and completely nice, like Djokovic. Like, he can get really aggressive, when he plays, he kind of gets a little intense, right? So there is that, but no, when Ben John loses, man, I assume for him it's going to be a little tougher, just because, again, there's so much on the line. He is number one. He's trying to keep that status. He's trying to stay at the top, and that's obviously tougher than Kokinaki, pickleball on a Saturday, Friday night. It's a different thing to me, just like with any sports, we're playing rec. Unless you got money on the line, like, it's a game. They're games. But, if we're playing, rec soccer, rec pickleball, rec whatever, they're games. We're meant. It's for us to have fun and for us as adults to get away from, like, I have so much stress with my clients and my day and my problems in my job. I don't come to pickleball to find more of that. I come to pickleball for an escape from that.
What about, let's make sure, yeah, you're in focus, looking good as usual. um, so when did you start playing pickleball?
So it was actually almost a year. I guess Easter Sunday's coming up. My wife and I went out to JBL in Tampa on Easter Sunday on the afternoon, and we had some, $20 Target Franklin sets. They were just we had heard, people playing. My cousin had played in Arkansas, and we're like, let's try this thing out. And we went out and just completely got slaughtered, like with a skill level. Like we're probably playing, 3-5, 4-0 players as just fresh off the butt beginners, you know what I mean? So, but I really loved the concept. I played racquetball with my dad growing up a little bit, so I like the concept of a racket sport, and kept playing, kept at it. Maybe a little bit more on my own. My wife doesn't play quite as often as I do, but so about a year now, just running on a year.
And what's been your experience with the paddles since you started with the cheapo ones?
So my first paddle was the wooden, or if it's plywood, I don't know, Franklin. Again, the Target special. And then I got a Z5 that was, $80-$90, something like that. So it felt justifiable. I wasn't ready to drop, whatever, $200 on a paddle. I used that for a little while. I didn't love the control on it. It was a very hard paddle. I can smash the shit out of it, but every time I did, it would go out anyway. So, around Christmas time, I got actually as a gift, Diadem Edge, Warrior Edge, and I love that paddle. It's much more, texture to the paddle, the control on it. It's a little softer, so when you're getting balls slammed at you, it's a little bit easier to just kind of reset and dink back over the net. So 3 paddles, and so far the Diadem has been great. I love that paddle. I had a guy, actually, again, this is, if we're talking about the dark side, the light side of pickleball, I was playing at Crescent Lake, and I wanted to try a new paddle, and some guy was talking to me while we're sitting on a bench waiting for our turn to go play, and he said, try this one out. He actually had just the Warrior, which is a little bit thicker in paddle than the Edge is, but that was like $225, and I went with the 175 paddle. That was a little bit cheaper to ask from my very generous mother-in-law who got me that paddle for Christmas. So, credit where credit's due. But no, it's been a great paddle. I've played a couple times with the Ben Johns, from some of my friends trading paddles. I like that paddle too, but I think, I don't know, if I was giving advice to someone getting paddle, I'd say spend over $150, because I know they're expensive right now. It's just a gold mine in the pickleball industry, but it's worth it. It definitely did change my game going from a Z5 to the Diadem. Like, there was a next day difference. You're only good as your shots are. You can't, just because you get a new paddle doesn't mean you're going to be good overnight, but it does definitely help.
And what about court shoes? What are you doing with those?
So I got the, I guess you can't see in the shot, the Court Jams, the Adidas. I'm a Adidas just guy. I like Adidas stuff. If I go Nike or Adidas, I'm an Adidas guy. So I found these. They were, I think, 100 in retail, on sale for like 80, something like that. And I originally played with like tennis shoes, running shoes, and I drag my toe when I move around. So I ripped holes in all my running shoes that I already had, which were luckily, just some I got from. I just started buying shoes from Marshalls to play pickleball in, because I was going through shoes so quickly, and I was like, instead of spending $40 at Marshalls, I'm gonna go buy a $80 pair of shoes. I've had these, I don't know, 6 months now, and they still in good condition. I use them 2 or 3 times a week, and I only use them for pickleball. I try not to, use them anything outside of pickleball, and they've been great. I know there's some other tennis brands and pickleball brands out there, but I just need something I'm not going to tear up as much as it's going to be a good shoe.
Yeah, I totally support those, because I'm wearing the same ones too.
Yeah. No, our buddy Madison, he had the crazy pattern ones out there. Yeah, they were super cool. I almost bought those, but I'm too safe, so I went with the classic black and white, Adidas looks.
Okay, so do you prefer playing at night or during the day?
So I mostly play in the evening. I was playing Saturday mornings for a little bit, but the courts I went to got a little too busy. When the rack on the wall is going past the rack on the wall with paddles, I typically call it a day. The evenings is just when it works out for all of us to play because, we all work during the day. So I do work kind of a remote with clients job. I could schedule myself some pickleball hours, but I end up just getting stressed about what calls are coming in. So I do know some guys that I play with that do that, but no, I'm not too keen on it because I just get stressed out about what I'm missing while I'm playing pickleball in the middle of a work day. So I avoid that. I think I did that once. So I just, again, stressed out the whole time that someone important was going to call and I'm going to end up missing it and they're going to call someone else, blah, blah, blah.
And assuming you've played indoor pickleball, preferring indoor or outdoor pickleball?
So I've played indoor one time. This was actually visiting family. They had a rec center that had indoor pickleball and a basketball court. Personally, I did not like it. I don't like playing on, maybe sounds so privileged, but I don't like playing on any tennis courts with lines. I like a permanent pickleball court. And so the basketball court was like taped, thin taped lines on top of every other line on that side of the court. So you got basketball lines, like some volleyball, whatever a rec center uses the lines for. So to me, that bothers me. I don't know. There's something about seeing all the other lines that takes me out of it a little bit and kind of messes my, I don't want to say OCD and being stiff, but it messes my head. Like I just get a little focused on the lines and not thinking about it. And then the noise factor, it was definitely kind of like a sensory overload. And there's a big curtain up, so you had to like serve with your back with a curtain, and behind you basketballs, bounce, 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 bounce. And then the reverberation of the noise. So a little sensory overload for me personally. Outdoor has its drawbacks with the weather, but I definitely prefer outdoor. And then I don't like playing with the indoor balls either. So it just bounces different. It's not a completely different game, but when you play outdoor every day, you play with an indoor ball, it's just, I don't know, it's just a little different.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to share about your pickleball experience?
Oh, man, just, I don't know. I guess, if we're talking about the dark side of pickleball, that's not necessarily dark, but, when you get to the plateaus, just keep pushing through it. There's, if I look back in the last year of my pickleball career, right, I have a lot of times where I felt like I was getting better and new shots, or being able to, dig out a shot where I would normally just get scored on. Those plateaus can be really, I don't want to say depressing, that sounds dramatic, but makes it frustrated with the game. Play through the plateau. There's times when you're like this, and then there's times when you're like this, and just keep playing through it. And again, have fun. It's a game, right? It's a game. Nobody here's out here making money. Nobody's out here, gonna be a pro. And if they are, I'm not playing with them because they would just beat me. So, no, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Connor, thank you so much for sharing your dark side of pickleball. Appreciate you. Let's go play a little more.
Yeah,
I guess,
for sure.
All right. See you in a minute.